it will be good for you.
So in this entire journey of 14 years, what is the best incident, sales that you have done? And I want a detailed story about it.
Okay, so instead of telling a sales story, I'll tell you very interesting kind of a story. This was again at the Hyatt, and international companies have something called as an audit.
Yeah.
So not only international, but Indian companies also have audits, regular audits. So there used to be something called as a MICE audit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and what happens is the hotel gets judged based on the audit.
Yeah.
There are multiple aspects to an audit.
Yeah.
So audit is basically nothing that is to evaluate if you're running the business properly, yes or no.
You're following the process.
Exactly. You're following the processes, you're following the right ways of operating the business. Now, there is a particular point over there called MICE audit something. I don't know if Hyatt still has that.
Okay. I've been a part of that.
Okay. So
it takes almost 3-4 days.
Yeah.
Operating comes in, yeah.
So I remember this instance, and I was in catering sales at that time. So this happens over calls, and these are surprise audits. All these surprise audits. Now, I didn't do well in one of the audits, and coincidentally the call came to me because I was handling that department, and I didn't know that something like this also comes to me, unfortunately. But the call came to me, and things didn't go well. Obviously, the tables turned overnight when the result came out. And what happens is this affects the KRAs of multiple stakeholders including the GMs. So this affects their KRAs. Now I was somewhere seriously cornered because the score was so low that they could never imagine, and neither did I know that I was just not even a year old in sales in hotels, and but I noticed one thing. You can grow very fast in hospitality industry, but your downfall is also very immediate. If you don't follow the process is the key.
Yeah.
If you don't follow the process, you don't know what's going to happen the next day. So I saw being somewhere, people who talk to me, but somewhere being off guarded, I was somewhere a little cornered. I knew because it was my mistake. It was not their mistake,
Of course.
But trust me, that feeling was so heavy for me. Then I started following the process, and it was very difficult for me to come out of it. It was extremely difficult for a kid who just joined hotels and in 6-7 months had to go through this emotional turmoil at work, which was very difficult for me. Now I decided in next audit I have to do something else. Now I have to really perform well. Luckily, it went very well. It's just that I followed all the processes properly. The audit scores, when it came out, the entire lot, the same people who somewhere, thought it was my mistake and I was to be the sole person responsible for this, did come to me, did tell me, did appreciate me, did congratulate me. I learned one thing that day. Follow the process. Do what is told right. Because what happens is when you join new in any organization, you think, you always feel my way is the right way.
Right way, yeah.
Okay, so what if this happens? So, isme to itna hi kar diya na, to kya hota hai?
You come from some other background.
Exactly.
You come from married, joined Hyatt.
Exactly.
There's completely different story altogether. You have to unlearn everything from married and learn Hyatt ways. This is right. I think it's an old saying which is, in bigger companies, in international companies, people don't run the show. Process run the show.
Process just run the show. And that's the time I learned this. And I'm so happy. Now, after learning that instance, I'm really happy that, I got this experience at a very early age of my career.
Your exposure got bigger.
And that changed the game altogether. Because then eventually I was kind of training like really senior guys on how to do that process properly.
So one mistake of you have made things right for you.
Absolutely. For me and for other stakeholders as well.
So I think sales is something that has been with you for a very long time.
True.
What is that you look at other part of the hospitality as an industry that is right now lagging behind, or something attitude as a skill set that need to be come in other department, which department do you think that is lagging behind in the hospitality as an industry?
Well, I think skill set, you rightly use the word, but skill set needs to be proactiveness.
Yeah.
I mean, there are two ways. Either company can imbibe the skill set in you by forcefully training you, or you need to be a self-learner. It might be any department. It might be F&B, it might be kitchen, it might be something else. You need to motivate yourself to move forward. Till the time you don't move forward, nothing is going to happen, is what I...
This is basically individually.
Absolutely. Because this, if you don't do it, who's going to do it? You know, in simple words.
But I see there was one department that was very important for hotel, that was reservation.
Right.
It has shrunk to a level where it is almost nothing in the hotel.
I agree.
And this has gone for a very long time. And I used to remember there were people who were director of reservations. Now this designation won't exist.
Very true.
What do you think that any more designation which is going to get vanished from hospitality?
I am very sure that going forward in next few years, sales not the designation or the department, but the number of people will go down drastically. Because automation will, as we say, there are some aspects that it will take over.
Yeah.
All right. Now, the door-to-door sales calling of one-on-one sales calling is what we call. Cold calls, structured calls. Now, structured calls can also happen over a Zoom call.
Yeah.
Now, structured calls can happen over any which ways. There are multiple modes of communicating. What are you going to do? At the end of the day, you meet the customer to understand their needs and demands, right? For a particular group event that they've confirmed or to close a group event.
I think one thing that I look at is sales coordinator job is something that can go very easily when it comes in a picture. Your proposals, your rate letters, your follow.
It's already done. By now, every company, most of the companies, it's at the click of the button.
Yeah.
So proposals, contracts, everything is at the click of the button. You really don't need a sales coordinator if you ask me.
Yeah.
Because the associate can immediately pull out just updating the company profile. You have everything at the click. So you really don't need, we've already reached that level. So I'm talking only about next 6 years, you really don't know what's going to happen.
So one thing I take it from you is that if someone is working in sales right now, whether it's Gen Z or someone at my or your age, if they're not moving forward themselves, updating their skills, attitude, everything, they can easily be replaced, because of, if you are someone who's in a back office doing a job, building out proposals, and you're still not got the sense of that you can reach to the next level, or you're not preparing for yourself, I think that's the time this should be, otherwise they will be gone long.
Very true. See, what happens in sales is, again, a relationship is the most critical aspect. Okay? You can get machines to do things for you, but relationships will not go up.
This is the second time I'm listening, because I was talking to some other salesperson as a podcast, Vishal, and he told me everything. I thought the entire podcast was based on their
Absolutely. Because what happens is, right now, I don't know if you've heard about this. Why do companies hire a sales associate from immediate competition hotels?
Yeah.
It is that the relationship is going to drive the business from one hotel to the other hotel.
Connect that.
It's as simple as that.
Like today, I'm sitting with you. Tomorrow, if I have a call, I need some information. I'll give you a call. That is the connection that it looks for.
So again, relationship comes out of trust.
Yeah.
And trust takes time. So for a customer, it is not easy to trust one person.
Yeah.
It takes time. And however we talk about things coming into picture of, AI coming into picture and how things are going to change, this aspect, I don't think this aspect of relationship will go off. How it unwinds is a question.
What do you think about hospitality as an industry is a better place to be? Or, so now you are in this industry, you're given 14, 15s, of course you're not going to say this is better industry, but if someone is going to try and get into this industry, what does it do to your personal life? What does it do to your time management, your work-life balance? I'm not talking about the company either.
Sure.
I'm talking about the industry altogether. So if someone is planning to get into the industry, he should be very determined to come into this, or the person should look for any other industry apart from this, go to automobile or any other industry right now which is booming. So do you think this industry has many things to offer as a personal aspect as well, or professionally it is only good?
See, this again, as you rightly said, I would always say hotels.
Yeah.
But what happens is, a student finishing his or her own studies needs to really think what do they want to do. Okay. The industry offers a lot.
Yeah.
And so for me, if I have to tell you, I've got a lot of exposure. You start talking to people.
Yeah.
You start connecting with people. You start understanding their problems. So a classic example, when I meet a customer, most of the times I hear a lot of their own problems instead of I talking about the hotel and the brand product. Because at a particular level, it's all about the customer.
Of course.
And when he or she feels comfortable, they will start opening up about themselves. And that's when we are talking about relationships, building over there. That's when they trust us. That's when they trust things about work and their personal life. It's a very wide aspect if you look at it. So I personally feel the industry has to offer a lot. You get to travel. You get to learn different things. You get to learn a lot of new tools, equipments. But most importantly, you get to learn humbleness. If you don't have some certain aspects, you get to learn how to control your temperament. Because these are key basic pillars. When we talk about attitude has these aspects which rotate in the hospitality industry. You have politeness, you have humbleness, you have a right approach, patience. These things will work. Because if you don't have these things in a hotelier, he or she is not a...
What I feel is that this industry teaches you a lot of emotion than any other industry.
Very true.
So if you are in IT firm or any other, you are sitting in your desk doing something for entire day, going back to the office with you. Most of the thing is you know your office mate and the driver that takes you home. In hospitality, you don't know who is going to walk in.
So true. I'll tell you something. I mean, there are days when we meet corporate customers. There are days when a wedding client comes with the entire family and we are seated there to close this entire discussion for 3 hours. Okay, so
You end up getting an invitation to
everything we are talking about. So it's so diverse.
Yeah.
I mean, you will meet some MD CEO, you will meet some Bollywood actor, you'll land up doing some shoots. Your contacts are going to build up like crazy.
Yeah.
And it's not going to be confined to one industry. Today I'm meeting someone in telecom, tomorrow it might be Bollywood.
Yes.
There is some wedding client waiting for you when you're back at the hotel, you've given them time. It's all beautiful.
I think this is more human industry than any other industry.
So sometimes you have to be very formal, but sometimes you have to turn yourself, mold yourself with a social gaze. You have to adapt that walk and talk with them.
But I think when it comes to person, as I said, this industry is more of people industry, right? So this also takes a lot of time from your own personal life. How has you been here in the 14-15 years? What was your